Okay, welcome everyone to our Speakers Bureau for this month. I'm kind of shocked that we have such an empty house. We were overwhelmed by last month's attendance of 55, I think it was, online, with between online and in person. In person was almost 30 and about another 25 online. So we were spoiled with Darren LaCroix coming in here and shaking our woodwork. So today we will be having a great program, though, because let me get my introduction out. And let you know that next month we'll be meeting on April Fool's Day. So hopefully we're not fooled about that. But April Fool's Day, April 1st, will be next month's meeting. The following meeting is in May. April and May are the last two opportunities to become qualified during this Toastmaster year. Our future is a little more questionable for next year because it'll be under a new district, District 203. We will see then what the powers to be make a decision about Speakers Bureau. We hope to have it carry on and hope to see maybe more members. Maybe there'll be a few more that attend online because they won't want to drive here from Las Vegas to go to a Speakers Bureau meeting. But hopefully we have a good meeting next year and a good Speakers Bureau so that the tradition keeps going on, because we've been doing pretty well for 15 years or so, and especially especially been doing great since I started, right? No, but it's been doing well the last 8 years that I can confirm. And we have this great site. We don't want to jeopardize that for the future. But let's get to today's program. Tonight's speech's presenter is a Toastmaster through and through. He first joined Toastmasters way back in the dark ages of 1989 AD. After completing the ancient Competent Communicators Manual, he left for greener pastures. 25 years later, in 2015, he returned to Toastmasters to pick up where he left off. After his icebreaker speech, he was offered a spot on the Temecula TED Talk stage. In 2016, he became a District 12 qualified speaker. He has now represented District 12 8 different times as a guest speaker at various venues throughout Riverside and San Bernardino counties. In fact, just happened just recently, just a few days ago, at the Rotary Club to a nice big audience of 50 people, at the Rotary Club in Redlands. 2018, he became the 76th Toastmaster accredited speaker. As District 12 reformulates over the next few months, he will remain the only accredited speaker in District 12's history. As a professional CPR instructor, he has conducted a staggering 9,000 plus CPR classes over a 45-year career. And as you can tell by his youthful appearance, he started teaching CPR classes as a 3-year-old toddler. In his spare time, he runs 100-mile ultramarathons. 10 days ago, he finished his world record 307th 100-mile race just to make sure it would count. He made it 150 miles. When his feet are too sore to run, he tries his hand at stand-up comedy. He recently learned the secret of keeping the audience members from walking out of his performances. He simply locks the doors behind him. Rob, by special request, could you please secure each of the doors in the back of this room at this time? Please give your warmest District 12 Speakers Bureau welcome to our one and only Ettinghausen. Ed, come on down. And I don't know that even you need it, but here you go.
I think it'll be good for the Zoom, probably.
Yeah, so
Work. The hundreds of people in the auditorium can quickly make their way down into the front row. And you'll find a seat next to a special friend, and you can sit there. It's your option if you want to do the hands-on. You'll have a mannequin. You can just sit and listen if you want. You are not required to do hands-on, although if you would like to get certification, you will need to actually do the participation. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And, you know, I have to say, Tom, I am so happy to hear when you gave me the news. I don't know if you're all aware. I was going to waive my speaking fee, but Tom said that the district decided that when the district closes at the end of June, all the funds that are remaining in the district coffers, they'll be giving them to me. So Tom, I appreciate that so much. Thank you. That's such a generous thing of you to do. All right, let me find out how many, right? And have any of you ever performed CPR? All right. Okay, now this question, believe it or not, I've twice gotten the answer yes. Have any of you had CPR performed on you? No. Oh, okay. All right. Then is you have to look out for number one. And who is number one? That's right. Me, myself, and I. You are always number one on this, and that would be your little friend right next to you. Now, if you want, you can name your guy. My guy's name is Manny. You want to check for response using a simple technique called tap and shout, just like it sounds. Hey, Manny, you okay? Wake up. If there is no response, we have an emergency in 911. So before you do any CPR, talk to the 3 people on the scene, 1, 2, 3, and then it's on to the action steps of airway, breathing, and circulation. All 6 of those steps together, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, make up the CPR formula. And here's where we come to my favorite part of the whole course. This is where all of you get to jump up and sing the Jackson 5 ABC song. Take it away. No? There we go. We got one taker. The rest of you are, man, I don't think the ABCs helped Michael Jackson that day, did they? No, they didn't. Not with Dr. Murray doing his one-hand CPR on the bed, waiting out to call 911 while he was texting with his stripper girlfriend. No wonder they couldn't say, poor Michael. You know, you think about Michael Jackson, of course, you think about music. Have you seen the latest in personal musical devices? They just came on the market recently. Perhaps you haven't seen them where you live. I brought one to show you. It's called a cassette tape player. I know, impressive. Hold on. Inside, there is a very special memory card. You can actually squeeze 60 minutes of music onto each side. You can get these amazing devices with their memory card and the bonus pointer doohickey. You can get these at all of the high-end electronic stores like Radio Shack and Circuit City. But the best one of all, Montgomery Ward's. I know Forrest is going, those are new stores. I got to check them out. Well, obviously, I've dated myself because all of those stores have been out of business for many years, and this device has been obsolete for many decades. And the old ABC sequence of CPR is now also a relic of the past. It is no longer ABC, it is now CAB. We actually start by skipping airway breathing and going straight to circulation. In fact, people that work outside of the healthcare professions, the lay rescuers out there, you know what we teach them now for adult CPR? No breathing at all. Hands-only compressions, non-stop until the emergency medical services arrive. But for healthcare providers, we ask that you do the breathing with the compressions, but now we say the breathing is optional. So when you first look at your victim, if your first thought is, no, I am not going to put my mouth on those lips, then you can skip the breathing altogether. It is totally up to you. Focusing on circulation, where do we check for Manny's circulation? Where do we find a pulse? Good thing you chose the carotid artery under his fancy bow tie. Since he has no other pulses, look at my little friend. He's a third of the man that he used to be. Always check their pulse using how many thumbs? None of them. And why not use your thumbs to check their pulse? That's right, your thumbs have a pulse of their own. You might feel your own pulse. Fingers only. The best way to find the carotid pulse, start with your fingers at the center of their neck and then slide into the groove. If you want to find the beat, get into the groove. And here you are in the groove, checking the pulse for about 5 to 10 seconds. Now, 5 to 10 seconds, that's just not long at all, except in an emergency, and then that's like forever. And there's no pulse. Well, of course, no pulse tells us what's not working. The heart. So let's work on that. So we shift our focus to the chest. Another change in CPR. We no longer have to do the old trace, space, place technique. That's the old way. The new way, simply place the heel of your hand in the center of the victim's chest using 2 hands, compress 2 inches, and give 2 ventilations. So far, can anyone tell me what would be our key number so far? 2! You guys are so smart. But the compressions are a lot more than dose. Can you remember from your last CPR course how many compressions? Remember? It used to be, for adults, we did 15 compressions with 2 breaths. For a child or infant, we did 5 compressions with 1 breath. But those numbers are now obsolete. It is now just 1 to 2.4, but just think 2. How do you count 2 inches of compression depth? Well, you can't count it, can you? You just have to guess. And when you're performing CPR, you might find yourself going, am I going too deep or not deep enough? If you're not sure, you better play it safe. And what do you think? Go deep or back off? In CPR, deeper is better. Much better to go deep, move that blood around. Better that than do back off and not get enough circulation. And when you put it into perspective, CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, that's just a fancy way for us to say heart, lungs, restart. You only perform CPR because someone's heart, lungs need restarting. Okay, I have a difficult question coming next. Do not feel bad if you don't know the answer. We have a victim laying here. That person is not breathing and has no pulse. The sophisticated medical term to describe their condition in one single word would be, what was that? Dead. Brilliant. I'm going to guess you 2 young people over there, I'm going to guess you knew the correct answer was dead because either you were studying for this course all night last night, or more likely it's because your last CPR instructor, that guy must have been some kind of a genius. And as you recall, young lady, wasn't that guy also quite striking for an old bald guy? Extra credit? All right, that's just going too far. So it's a dead person. Now, since we only perform CPR in people that are not breathing, have no pulse, we just established no breathing, no pulse is dead. Well, that means that only on the dead, which sounds terrible. But when you grasp that very simple concept, doesn't it make CPR a whole lot easier? Think about that. If you're only doing CPR on people already dead, how badly can you screw that up? You can't, because they're already dead. Worst outcome, they're just going to stay dead. Nothing you could possibly do to them would make them double calm. You will not find the words deader or dead dust. No such words. So if you're not sure about depth, always go deeper. Now, sometimes at this point, people get a little bit hung up. They're like, whoa, wait, before you go on. No. Are you really saying we're doing CPR on dead people? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Do you know what the medical term is for a person who is not breathing, has no pulse? That's called clinical death. Now, the good news, it's a reversible condition. If we can get to them in time and everything works in their favor, we might be able to bring them back to life. But if they're in that clinical death condition too long, eventually what type of death occurs? Brain death, also called biological death. That's irreversible. Okay, well, now we know what to do. Just check their heart, their lungs, their brain. That's easy, right? We can check their lungs. Yep. Yeah, we can see if they're breathing. Yeah. We can check their heart, check for a pulse. Sure. And tell Tell me, how do we check for their brain activity? We can't, else I have a hospital setting. That we just have to go on by faith and hope we got there in time. Does that make sense? There's a classic movie, one of my favorite movies from the 80s. It's called Princess Bride. Remember Princess Bride? Great movie. In Princess Bride, there's this evil prince who sends Wesley to the pit of despair. The pit of despair is this terrible torture device, the opposite of CPR. It sucks the life out of its victims. Sadly, by the time Wesley's friends find him, too late. He's already dead. They take his lifeless body and they go to the house of Miracle Max. They put his body on the table. Miracle Max, he's dead. We need a miracle. Miracle Max checks him. He says, hold on. He's mostly dead, which means he's slightly alive. And if you remember the story, Miracle Max made this big magic chocolate pill and brought him back to life. We don't have a big magic chocolate pill. Instead, we have CPR. Now, the compressions, the rate of compressions, we need to go deep and fast. We need to go a rate of 100 to 120 beats per minute. And that sounds great on paper, but in real life, how do you figure out 100 to 120 beats per minute? There is an easy way. Remember that great disco song from the 70s, Staying Alive? That song has 103 beats per minute. So if you ever have to perform CPR, if you just start singing Staying Alive out loud, it will not only keep you on the beat, but it also sends a beautiful message to your victim's family. Now in 1980, Queen came out with a great song, which also has 103 beats per minute. You all know the song, Another One Bites the Dust. It's a great song, except for CPR. That's the worst song ever for CPR. I think one of the best songs for CPR is that little ditty I learned way back in elementary school. Maybe some of you did as well. Do any of you remember going on a field trip on the big yellow bus, singing that #1 hit song with your fellow classmates, 99 bottles of... Okay, some of you went to a cool school. I didn't. I went to an uncool parochial school. In my prim and proper parochial school, they did not let us say the B word. If we said the B word at my school, we got sent to the principal. At my school, we were allowed to sing root beer or chocolate milk or soda pop. Now, if you are not familiar with that old song, I would be more than happy to sing it for you, except that I can't. Well, not only can I not carry a tune in a bucket, but I'm no longer allowed to sing that CPR solo in my CPR classes. Yeah. It happened 6 years ago, March of 2020. Do you recall March of 2020 when we got a visit from COVID and when COVID showed up, everything in California closed? I was out of work for 3 full months, but after only 2 short weeks, man, another job. Now, I am not going to promote where they're still moonlighting on the weekends, but ladies, do you recognize the uniforms? April's going, I knew I saw him before. I knew it. When they got the new job, they joined the union. They got 3 wishes in the union contract. Wish #1, to wear the cool bow ties. Wish #2, to have those cool earbuds. And wish #3 was I could no longer sing those cool CPR solos in the CPR. What did I do? All right, so grab your mannequin, up on your lap, 2 hands together, 30 and 2, ready, set, sing. 99 bottles of root on the wall, 99 bottles of root on the wall. You take one down, you pass it around. 98 bottles of root, everybody. 98 bottles of root on the wall, 98 bottles of root on the wall. You take one down, you pass it around. 97 bottles of root on the wall. Good job. Give yourselves a hand. Well done. But you know what? I think we got so caught up in the moment with all the singing and all the drinking that perhaps we forgot to do something important in CPR. At least I did. I forgot to count those 30 compressions. Were any of you keeping track? Somebody in this room was. You wouldn't know what to look at him. But my good friend Manny, this guy here is no dummy. Man, he figured out that when you get through 2 bottles of root beer or whatever IPAs you've been drinking over there, is exactly 30 compressions. We started at 99 bottles. We stopped at 97 bottles. That's 2 bottles. That's 30 compressions. After 30 compressions, what comes next? 2 breaths. So 2 bottles followed by 2 breaths. Now, real people should not have a plastic bag protruding from their mouth. Although if they did, that would probably be your problem right there. No wonder they need CPR. All right. So go ahead and take a moment, open that plastic over the nose and mouth. Now, what is it with a real person that's going to be the most common cause of their airway obstruction? It's usually just their own tongue. And it's because of the effects of gravity. Can anyone tell me in 2 words, what does gravity do? 2 words, gravity. Anybody? Pulls down. You know, you people are really quite polite, but I'm just going to be blunt with you here. It sucks. It's gravity. You know, it sucks. It's science. Look it up. So the tongue tends to fall, block the airway. No problem. We use head tilt, chin lift maneuver. Now, if you're not quite sure how this process works, this picture demonstrates it quite well. This shows an individual with a blocked air passageway from their tongue, blocking the airway. When we use the head tilt, chin lift, it goes from that to this nice, wide, open air passageway with the head tilt, chin lift. After you open the airway, and before you give the 2 breaths, be sure to first pinch their nose close. And why do you need to pinch their nose before you give those breaths? Because if you don't pinch their nose, it's not good. I know, that is disgusting. Hold on. Just a couple days ago, someone taught me a brand new, really cool word. The word I just learned recently is mocos. Now, let me see if I can remember how to say it in a sentence. I think it goes something like this. No quiera mocos en su cachete. Now, I believe that means no boogers on your cheek, or I just said something really nasty in Spanish. I don't know. Here we go. Tilt, pinch, big mouth, 2 breaths. Ready? Breathe. Breathe. If the 2 breaths were successful, what should have just occurred? Chest rise. If it didn't happen, no problem. We have a rule for that. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Remind me, what's the most common airway obstruction for the unconscious? It's usually just their own tongue. Didn't work first time? Simply tilt back a little bit further and take a quick look in their mouth. If you see something in there that does not belong, carefully reach in, remove it, and then try to give 2 breaths again. Here we go. Pinch nose, big mouth, 2 breaths. Breathe. Breathe. Were the breaths successful this time? If you saw the chest rise, they were. And that concludes 1 cycle of CPR, 30 compressions with 2 ventilations. We need to continue to perform CPR for a full 2 minutes. It takes 5 complete cycles to make 2 minutes. How many cycles have we performed so far? Remember, it's a condensed program we're doing here tonight. We've done how many cycles so far? 5, you say? At the end of the program, you're all going to be a bunch of cheaters like Connie right over there. So do y'all agree with Connie? You agree it's been 5 cycles? You agree? You agree with her? Well, then you better check the pulses then, you bunch of cheaters. And there is no pulse. And do you know why there is no pulse? Because cheaters never prosper, young lady. Didn't your mama teach you that? Well, there's no pulse, of course, because your victim is still job at CPR for 2 minutes. I was watching, you did great, but he's still dead. What are we going to do now? We're going to do it again for 2 more minutes and then check the pulse. No pulse, 2 more minutes, 5 more cycles of CPR and check the pulse. What is our ultimate goal here? What are we trying to accomplish with our CPR? To undead them, restart their heart, and hope the dream of our CPR. Unfortunately, that's not reality, because in real life, CPR more often is about buying our victim precious time until what? That's right. Anything positive that happens before the emergency medical services arrive, those are extras. Perform CPR and find a pulse, that's a bonus. Pulse and breathing, double bonus. Pulse, breathing, and they're conscious, you just hit the jackpot. But don't count on that. So no pulse would mean more CPR cycles. On the other hand, if there is a pulse, is this a good thing? It's a great thing because the pulse tells us what is working once again, the heart. And help me with our special rule for this. If it ain't broke, just fine, leave it alone. But we still need to go back and reassess what else. Breathing. Now, the heart stopped once, certainly can stop again at any moment. So keep your fingers on the pulse. When you find the beat, keep the beat. Open their airway, check on their breathing, and no, he's not breathing. Okay, he has a pulse. Is that good or bad? That's good. He's not breathing. Is that good or bad? That would be bad. So we're going to shift gears now into rescue breathing mode, which consists of one full rescue breath every 5 seconds. Again, an adult has a pulse but isn't breathing. It's one full rescue breath every 5 seconds. While you're doing the breathing, fingers stay put. And between each breath, you should turn your cheek to the side. Why is that recommended between each breath? You can see the chest rise and fall. You can feel for air against your cheek. Yes, but there's also another little teeny reason. You're trying so hard to save your victim, and for all your efforts, they will show their appreciation by doing what 50% of the time? Blowing chunks in your direction. So now we go from mocos to vomito. Now, if your little amigo is toasting his tacos to you, do you prefer his stomach contents lands in your mouth or in your ear? You hold out for option C, I can tell. No, Ed, don't we get a third choice? Like none of the above? Well, if you're lucky enough to have a mouth-to-mask device, or better yet, a bag valve type of device, certainly use those. But without those, be ready to take one for the team. And if you're taking it for the team, which one of those would you prefer? In your mouth, in your ear, or how about that option C, on the outside of your cheek? I think option C is the best. So here we go. Fingers on the carotid pulse, tilt their head, pinch nose, give a breath. Turn and count. 2, 1,003, 1,004, 1,005, 1,000 breath. 2, 1,003, 1,000. The breathing is back. Heart's working. Lungs are working. What is there left for you to fix? What's left to fix? Nothing, you say over there? Look, up to this point, you've all done quite well. You took your little guy that was dead with the fancy, colorful tie. You got his heart working and you got his lungs working. I'm very proud of you all for that. But how can you people, as smart as you are as Toastmasters, how do you miss this? What about this poor guys? Okay, you're right. There's nothing left here for you to fix. Your job in CPR is a simple job. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy for you, especially emotionally, and especially if it's someone that you know. But really, it's a simple task. Restart their heart, restart their lungs. You did that. So now we're going to hang out with our newfound friend while we continue to wait for the emergency medical services. Of course, what stopped once could always stop again. So we need to continue to monitor their heart and their lungs. And let's not forget, what little surprise can your little friend still come up with any second? Chunks. If he's on his back and he vomits, what major complication could occur? He could aspirate, he could choke. That's not a good thing. So we need to place our victim onto their side. Now, it's very important. Is it onto their right side or onto their left side? Which side? I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Manny starts blowing chunks. Which side do I not want that mouth aiming at? That's right. We're looking out for numero me. So I'm looking at putting them onto the side away from me. Now, if you've gone through medical training, you were taught always place the victim in recovery on their left side. Left side is preferred side, but I'm just looking out for myself here. Now, keep in mind, unlike your little buddies, you're going to find that most real people do tend to come with, well, besides clothing, anything else that most people have that our little friends just seem to be missing. Arms and legs, again, nothing gets past you people. So when you move a real person that actually has appendages, it's going to help you to move one of each. Their arm on the opposite side of you. Grab a hold of that arm and place it right up next to their head, sort of like that. Their leg that's closest to you, cross it over their opposite leg. It's not going to help your victim, but it is going to make it easier for you to move them. So their arm is up, their leg is over, support their head and neck, grab by the hip, turn them which way? Side away. What would be the exception though? When do you not want to turn a victim onto their side? How about when you suspect what type of injury? Yes, spinal trauma, back injury. I asked that once. When do you not turn them on their side? One guy said, well, what if you're like at the top of a steep hill? So good. Actually, there are 4 specific situations where you shouldn't turn them on their side. You suspect spinal trauma, you're at the top of the hill, or the top of the stairwell, or the edge of the cliff. Oh, sorry, Manny, keep breathing. We'll catch you at the bottom. In the meantime, we're going to maintain this recovery position while we continue to monitor what are the 2 functions we have working here once again. What's working now? Heart and lungs, breathing and circulation. How do you know his lungs are working? How can you tell? Each time he takes a breath, the chest will rise and fall. Good. That's how we see their breathing. And how do we see their circulation? Color, I'll give you that. Good, good. How else do you see circulation? No, okay, smarty pants. You don't see circulation, you feel circulation. Although I asked the question once in the class, how do you see the circulation? You know what one wise guy said? With a scalpel. For the rest of the program, I could not make eye contact with that guy. Well, he was a surgeon. They do use their scalpel quite a lot every day. No, if you can see your victim's circulation, if blood is actually spurting from their body, I warned you the edge of that cliff was going to be too dangerous. So you see their breathing, you feel their circulation, and then you wait. And you wait and you wait and you wait. For professional rescuers, it's like forever. In a real emergency, every second will feel like minutes, every minute will feel like hours, and you will feel like there's got to be something else to do. Well, yes, there is. One more very important step. Waiting for the paramedics. The last thing that you need to do would be, finish things off by stuffing M&Ms in the victim's ear. M&Ms in their ear is the newest step. Read the book. Okay, April, don't look at me like that, okay? I made it up. She's going, I don't think he knows what he's talking about. When I leave, I'm going to Google that. Well, let me explain in the book of Ed the 2 important M's. The 2 functions we're doing at the moment. We are maintaining their recovery position while we continue to monitor breathing and circulation. We maintain and monitor M&M the victim. Now, as silly as it is, with me stuffing these oversized M&Ms into Manny's ear, this might just help in real CPR. Because in real CPR, when do we think? We don't till it's over and done. For the most part, CPR is not going to be coming from up here. Where's the real CPR going to come from in an emergency? Here and here. Trust your gut instincts. Put your heart and soul into it and hang in there. Now, in real CPR, are we going to make mistakes? Very possible. But the beauty of CPR, close, is good enough. You may have heard that from your grandpa. Close only tells the list. It counts there as well. So hang in there. and don't give up on your victim. Now, if we take our two M's and we flip them upside down, what are the two letters we have now? WW. In this, watch anyway, very good. Although you'd be surprised how often I've heard people suggest Weight Watchers. I don't agree with that, not at all. Look at my little friend Manny. Look what this poor fella has already lost. He's gone from a 6-pack to a 3-pack. His ribs are up. More weight can he lose? In one class, one young guy was really confused about the two W's. He thought they actually stood for watch and wallet. Now, before you judge him, remember we are working with people that are already dead. I'm with him. I'm thinking the dead guy, for all your hard work, he probably wants you to have his watch and wallet, and he may not be needing them anymore. So as long as there are no witnesses, I believe the watch and wallet are yours. Take them. But be ready, because look who just showed up. It's the cops. Hey, where's the victim's watch and wallet and ring? Gee, officers, I don't know. But if you check on the hillside right there, because when he was rolling down the hill, I did the ring come off too. They're both up on the hill over there, I swear. Now, if there are two of you, it is easier because you get to work as a team, one to compress, one to ventilate. What would be the numbers for two rescuers? The same, 32. You know the best part about having two rescuers? Each one will take on a single task. When they're finished, each one will take home a single treasure. All right, here's another tough question for you. What if your victim is not an adult, it is a child? What would be the numbers for children? Exactly the same, 32. Now, it is possible in the heat of the moment, you might forget the important numbers 32. Not a problem, just look for your good friend, because I understand in this very room, there was someone that just had a birthday, and she just turned 32. Right, Connie? Yes, of course, of course. Now, Connie, it seems like when we did this 2 years ago, you'd also just turned 32. And then there was the twos before that, two before that. You know, Connie, I believe that you have been turning 32 since, well, since way back before I lost all my hair. And that's been a few decades now, it has been. But it's possible in the heat of the moment, you need Connie to tell you her age. She won't be around to do that because once again, she'll be out there celebrating her 32nd birthday. You all know how Connie is, big time party girl. Don't even try and deny it. I know it's true because I had a good talk with your boyfriend over there. He told me, yeah. So if Connie is not around to tell you her age, you can always look to your victim for that special number, because look in the mouth of everyone here. If you have all of your teeth, how many are in there? 32. Now that works great for us here in sunny Southern California because we take a lot of pride in our pearly whites. But what if you're traveling cross country to someplace like Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, or West Virginia? In West Virginia, it's more often 1, 2, 3 up on top and looks like 2 on the bottom. 3 and 2 in West Virginia. Speaking of West Virginia, you know the number one pickup line in West Virginia? Hey, cuz, nice tooth. Little dental trivia for you. Did you know that West Virginia is actually where they invented the toothbrush and toothpaste and even toothpicks? Did you know that? True. If they had invented those here in Southern California, they'd have simply named them teeth brush, toothpaste, and of course, teeth picks. All right, I cannot take credit for those jokes. Those jokes have been around for a lot of years, probably just about as many years as young Connie, 32. So again, for a child, how many compressions? 30. So in position, 30 compressions. Ready? 99 bottles of roof on the wall. 99 bottles of roof on the wall. And how many breaths? 2 breaths. Here we go. Breathe, breathe. We're going to do that for how many minutes before we recheck the pulse? 2. Takes how many cycles to make 2 minutes? 5. How many cycles have you just now performed? 5. If you see the benefits you are, you lie, it spreads. It spreads. So here we are, 2 minutes, 5 cycles later, we're rechecking the child's pulse. Are we finding a pulse on the kid this time around? Yes. Which is telling us what is now working once again. Heart. Remind me of our special rule for this. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right. 1 down, 1 to go. Fingers stay put. Remember, when you find the beat, keep the beat. So we're keeping our fingers on the pulse. We're now opening his airway, checking for the kid's breathing. And no, he's not breathing. Wait, deja vu. Didn't we go through this exact problem earlier with his dad? Remember? The adult had a pulse. He wasn't breathing. We gave the adult 1 full rescue breath every how many seconds? 5 seconds. Now look, like father, like son, because you have the exact same problem, pulse, not breathing. But tell me, what's different about a child's breathing compared to an adult's breathing? What's different? Faster, I heard, yes. There's actually 2 differences. That's one of them. They breathe faster. What's the second difference? Shallower breaths. Very good. So we're going to give the kid half of a rescue breath every 3 seconds. Remember, the adult had a pulse, wasn't breathing, a full rescue breath every 5 seconds. Child with a pulse, not breathing, half rescue breath every 3 seconds. All right, fingers on the pulse, tilt the head, pinch nose, give a breath. Turn and count. 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, breathe. 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, breathe. The breathing is back. Heart's working, lungs are working. And if the church choir were here right now, what song would they be singing? Yes, hallelujah. Now, you all know that if you perform perfect CPR, no mistakes, you will save that dead individual every single time. You know that, right? You're all shaking your heads. No, you tell me you didn't know that? Come on, people. I only have so much time I can spend with you here tonight. You've got to do your homework. Read your CPR material. You will find out what I just now said is absolutely a big fat lie. See, April, you have all of us lying now. Me lying as well. No, you cannot save them every single time. Remind me, what special kind of people do we perform CPR on? Dead people. If you're performing CPR on someone, waiting for the paramedics, and your CPR is successful, paramedics arrive, the dead guy jumps up, runs over, greets them at the door. What just happened here? A miracle. You just resurrected someone from the dead. And you know what? 2 very special groups. That makes our new friend a part of now. He's now a part of the Grateful Dead, as well as the Walking Dead. All right, I am fully aware that both those jokes are super lame, which means when we do this again in 2 years, you'll hear them both again. But most of the time, paramedics arrive, come in the door, and what do they find on the floor? Most of the time, they find a dead person. Now, does that mean that our CPR here was just a big waste of time? Not at all. We bought time. All right, so we did not restart their heart and their lungs, but let's evaluate what we did accomplish. We gave them breaths. By doing that, we got oxygen into their bloodstream. We gave them compressions. By doing that, we kept the oxygen blood circulating throughout their body. And that is exactly what CPR is meant to do. Buy time. When the professional rescuers arrive, they will continue what we have started and step it up. Along with the CPR, they'll intubate, medicate, defibrillate, transport our victim to the hospital. But even with all their hard work, still, most people do not survive CPR. The best success with CPR is with young people, and that's only a 40% survival rate. That means 10 kids are getting CPR on average. Out of the 10, how many are not going to make it? It gets worse because the majority of times that CPR is performed, it's not performed on those that are younger. It's performed on those that are older, much, much older than 32. Connie, you're okay. You're fine. You're fine. And when the victim's age goes up, victim survival rates go down to measly 5%. That means if we now have 10 older victims all getting CPR and there's only a 5% success rate, out of these 10 older victims, how many of them are going to survive? That's right. Look in front of you. Half of one. Because technically, you need at least 20 full-size victims just to get one single survivor when there's only the 5% survival rate. But wait, it gets even worse because your victim with only one chance in 20, most likely, is just going to be some stranger out there you've never met or someone you know and care about. Think about your typical day. Like today, for example. When you woke up this morning, where were you? Okay, Tom, if you have to think about your answer, he's going, you know, Ed, that's a good question. I can't recall. Connie, I'd be a little bit concerned there. Your loved ones, most of you. Today you got up and you spent time, if you went to work, you spent time with your fellow coworkers, you spent time with friends, family. Tonight you go back home, next day, go back to work. You really do spend a lot of time around the people that you know and tolerate. No. As Toastmasters, we're one big happy family. Group hug. Or perhaps group therapy. You know, speaking of therapy, I just have to say, I am so very proud of the progress of Tom. Tom, I mean, you can't even tell. A little more vitamins, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. But there is one more step we can throw into the CPR equation where we can go from trying to kickstart the heart to trying to extra technique. Anybody know what that one extra technique or device would be? The defibrillator, exactly right. The automated external defibrillator. Toastmaster stories about a defibrillator. We'll start with just 6 days ago. Tom had asked me to be the guest speaker for the Redlands Rotary, and there's an app. It's called Pulse Point AED, and you can actually look up and find AEDs in the area. Now, it's a volunteer app, so a lot of people haven't registered the AEDs. I tried to look it up while we were here, but I'm not getting any kind of signal, so it's not showing. I'm sure would show that there's here at the hospital. But so the place we were at was the Masonic Lodge, and so I looked it up, and sure enough, there was one right there. Now, of course, this is what I do as a profession, so I'm always eagle-eyed looking for AEDs. You know what? I walked right past it when we came in. It was right there. So I went and looked. Well, they had one, sure enough, in the cabinet, but there's a little tag that shows expiration date. The pads had expired 2 years before. And then I'm familiar with that AED. It shows a green check when the battery is good. It shows a red X when the battery is dead. Would do no good at all. Well, it could do a little bit of good. If you remember back in the 70s, they had a technique called precardial thump. You could take the defibrillator and bang it on their chest. That might do something for them, but it certainly wouldn't work as an AED. Another Toastmaster AED story. In 2019, I was in Redlands. It was the area contest. And this particular area contest, this particular year, it was the year where we had the International Speech Contest and the Evaluator Contest. The other years, of course, it's the table topics with the International Speech Contest. There was a guest speaker who was the test speaker. He was up on stage giving his speech, just like I am right at this moment. Suddenly he stopped, his eyes rolled back, and he collapsed right in front of all of us. There's a group of us that went up and started to perform CPR. Now, I asked the security personnel that was there, I said, do you guys have a defibrillator? She said, yeah, I'll go get it. So waiting and waiting and waiting, and she never came back. Eventually, the paramedics did arrive. they did actually shock this individual 3 times, and sadly, he did not survive. Well, of course, that was the end of that Toastmasters contest for that day. Got rescheduled to another day for the remainder of it. I talked later to found the security guard eventually said, what happened? You said you had an AD. Oh, I went to get it, but it was in the break room, and the break room was locked, and I didn't have a key. So in hindsight, it would have been great if we just broke the door down and got the AED. Would it have made a difference? We'll never know. All right. So AEDs, amazing devices. And AEDs would actually make the difference in CPR most of the time. It brings survival rate for our victim from 1 in 20 up to 1 in 3. So automated external defibrillator. Now, this one's a training AED. It's been miniaturized. Typically, they're about more that size. How does it work? Well, first thing, of course, open up. And what's the first thing I should do with this machine? Power it up, push the green button, turn it on. Then we just wait and play it by ear.
If the patient is a child, press the child button.
It's an adult, so we don't have to worry about that.
Remove clothing from the patient's chest.
We're all set with that, okay?
Remove packet and apply pads onto patient's bare skin.
Now, the pads actually show where to
Apply
place them.
as shown in the picture.
And these go a step further. They show where to place it for a child. Center of back,
And apply pads.
center of chest for a child. All right, no repeat it until we do it. Now, in the upper right shoulder, it's going to be just fine.
Remove packet
You
and
do need to
patient's
press
skin.
it on firmly. Very important. If it doesn't have a good skin
Apply
contact, it
pads
won't work.
As shown in the
And then this one shows lower left rib cage area. Again, press it on firmly.
Remove packet and apply pads onto patient's bare skin.
Once both pads are firmly in place.
Apply firmly on skin.
Mm-hmm.
Apply pads
Mhm.
as shown.
Now, these pads are actually getting kind of old because I've been using them quite a bit. I need to replace them because they're not detecting like they should. There we go. All right.
Analyzing heart rhythm.
Okay.
Do not touch the patient. Analyzing heart rhythm. Shock advised. Do not touch the patient. Everyone clear.
Where?
Press the flashing shock button.
Can you see that flashing red triangle? If you're close, you'd see a little lightning bolt on it. Make sure no one's touching them. And
Button.
shock.
Shock delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Begin CPR.
At this point, you would do exactly not what I just did. What did I just do wrong? I turned it off. Never turn it off. When you turn the AED on, it remains on until the emergency services arrive. When you put the pads on, they remain on until the emergency services arrive. Now, you might think, all right, now, what about this, Ed? You shocked him like it tells you, and then you check and you find that the shock worked. They actually have a pulse again. Well, of course, in that situation, turn it off, take off the pads. But is it possible? My good friend Manny was in ventricular fibrillation. That's where the 2 lower chambers of the heart, the ventricles, are fibrillating. It's basically like a muscle spasm. The point of the shock is to cause that heart muscle to contract forcefully and hopefully break out of that abnormal rhythm, go back to normal rhythmic beat. Is it possible we reestablish normal rhythm to Manny's heart, and then he goes back into VFib? Could that happen? It does happen. Sadly, for Manny, I didn't know that could happen, and once I felt there was a go, turn it off to the pads off. I had no on. All right, any questions with the AED? Everything makes sense. All right, I have a question for all of you. When in the CPR process would you actually hook the AED up to your victim? Now, the most obvious answer would be when there's no pulse, when they're dead. Yes, that's true, but it's actually even more specific than that. Depends on if it's a witnessed or a non-witnessed cardiac arrest event. For example, I'm talking to all of you right now, and then suddenly I collapse. Did you see it happen? Well, that's witness then. Versus, let's say, especially in a medical setting, maybe a dental office, which is my specialty. I teach for almost exclusively dental offices, but a dental office, there's a patient back in the back operatory. Hey, I got to make a quick call, like just about 2 minutes, and I'll be right back. So you go make a quick 2-minute call, but 2 minutes turns into 10 minutes. Oh, I better check my patient. Go check your patient. Your patient is in full arrest. Didn't witness it. Nobody witnessed it. When did that patient take their last breath? Could it have been 2 seconds ago? Could have been. And could it have been 10 minutes ago? Could have been. Don't know. In both cases, witnessed, non-witnessed, number one on the scene is always you. Make sure it's safe you. Number two, Ed, come on, wake up. We want to finish up and go home. There's no response. Call 911 and get that defibrillator in the hallway. Hurry. While you're waiting, you're checking for the pulse. There's no pulse. You start CPR. You're just about to start the compressions, and right then someone runs in with an AED. With a witnessed arrest victim, you can temporarily skip CPR and go straight into defibrillation. But when it's a non-witnessed arrest victim, before we jumpstart the heart, we've got to get some oxygen into the bloodstream and get it moving around for, I don't know, how many minutes do you think might be a good idea? 2 minutes of CPR followed by defibrillation. Does that make sense? That's weird. Try again. You know what makes this so strange is that you drive an electric car. You gotta think about that one. All right, so in your gas-powered car, and the gas gauge is all the way down on empty. You know why? Because Tom forgot where he parked the car and he's out of gas, right? So you call it AAA. AAA shows you they have a can of gas and a pair of jumper cables, and you need them both in the right sequence. Which one comes first, the gas or the cables? Here's where I can tell people who have actually ran out of gas, because they know gas comes first. Yes, a victim without oxygen, without gas, oxygen for any period of time, before we try to jumpstart the heart, we got to gas them up first. Does that little analogy make sense for you? Yeah, okay. I hope so, but I'm a little concerned because I know a real emergency, we don't think clearly, and I worry someone may have gone through my course, and then it's a real CPR emergency. Hey, wake up, come on, wake up. There's no response. Call 911 oh, get me defibrillator. You don't have no, and a can of gas. The gas? Right there and right there. I know what I'm doing. The bald CPR guy taught me. Just do it. Now, another situation you might have to deal with. What do you attempt those 2 breaths and they do not work? That is not a problem for us because we all know the rule. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Remind me, the most common airway obstruction for the unconscious, it's usually their own tongue. Then we first go back a little further. And again, take a quick look in the mouth. If you see something doesn't belong, carefully remove it. Do any of you recall a technique we taught for years and years and years, the old blind finger sweep? We used to teach that. We don't do that anymore. Why should any of you have to perform a blind finger sweep unless one of you actually are blind, which you're not? Use your eyes, take a look. If you see something that doesn't belong, reach in, remove it. All right. So you open the airway and you try a second time. Tilt the head back maybe a little bit further. On this second attempt, you still cannot get air from lips to lungs. What's the problem now? Airway obstruction. There's a procedure we can use on people with a blocked airway. It starts with letter H. We call it the what maneuver? In various ways. I have heard people pronounce Heimlich as hemlock. I don't think it's very wise to give some poor person poison. I would avoid the hemlock. I've heard people refer to Heimlich as Heineken. Now that actually does make sense if you know the rule. Have you heard the rule? Save a bestie, share a brewski. It's a rule for us. Look it up. But the oddest pronunciation was one class, this woman, she kept mispronouncing the word. You know, bless her heart. She didn't know any better, but it was getting embarrassing. And I finally had no choice. I said, ma'am, I'm sorry, but no, you're not pronouncing the word correctly. Heimlich, it's pronounced with letter M in the middle. The way you keep mispronouncing the word with letters N, D in the middle, not in good taste. We're just going to move on, please. Heimlich with the M. Speaking of M, coming up in May, this will be 11 years since this event occurred. There was an 87-year-old woman having dinner with her friends at the retirement home, and she started to choke. One of her dinner companions slowly rose out of his seat, confidently walked behind her, performed the Heimlich maneuver. They might think, well, that doesn't sound unusual. Well, the guy who did it was 96 years old and just so happened to be Dr. Henry Heimlich, the man that showed us that technique back in 1974. And even more amazing, this was the first time in his life he had the opportunity to actually use his procedure on a real person. True story, true story. Sadly, that's where a true story takes a little turn. Remember our sweet 87-year-old great-grandma? She croaked. She didn't make it. Story end. No, she did survive. Sadly, 6 months later, he choked to death. No, I made that last part. Wouldn't that be terrible? That's the worst irony. The doctor invented the technique to save choking people, save millions of choking people, and then he's dying. The ones that are saved. No. And Forrest, quick, almost okay. Dry the tears, dry the tears. She's fine. So what if right now one of our friends came running? Well, obviously, one of you better jump up, perform the Heimlich maneuver, right? Why not? Because they're getting air. Exactly right. But if they're coughing forcefully and they're getting air, what is the you just back out there? It's when they're not able to cough. They're grabbing them, they can't cough, they can't get air, they're starting to turn color. They are in trouble. They need artificial cough of Heimlich maneuver. So get behind your victim. In this case, you can put your mannequin right in front of you. Now, I'm required to say you're supposed to get informed consent when it's a conscious person, which works something like this. Hey, my friend, I can see that you're getting any oxygen, and any second, you're probably going to pass out. Would you really be so inclined as to have me help you out with the technique that might save your life? Would that be okay? I will do that then. Okay, obviously you've exaggerated it, but the point is, you're supposed to, hey, you're choking with my help. Okay. Reality is you're probably not going to remember to get their informed consent, and that's okay. Don't worry about it. All right, so get behind your victim. In this case, put your mannequin right in front of you. Find the belly button. If you are lucky enough to find that your victim, if she has a belly button ring, pull it. If she starts jumping and screaming, what's that mean? You're fine. Quit your belly aching. Now, if you prefer not to use the ring pull procedure, the other belt line or just above the belly button, grab with your other hand. It's an inward, upward thrust. You have to get pressure up to the diaphragm for this to be effective. And if you're doing it correctly, you will practically lift them off the floor up to 5 times. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should dislodge the obstruction. If it didn't, if they're still choking, then we go on to stage 2. Let me set the stage for you. Let's say you're all sitting in the audience of some swanky black tie Hollywood awards ceremony. You're in the seat in the audience. One man is standing up on stage. Now, it appears to you in the audience that that man on stage is choking on his words. Your natural inclination would be to jump every seat in the audience and to run up on stage and do what to that man? Slap him where? On the back, unless your name is Will Smith. Oh, I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry. You had to see the Academy Award performance after the Academy Awards. All right. So, yeah, gave me a gift. I don't think it worked out so well for Will Smith, but it's good for me. All right. So, lean your victim up to 5 times. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should dislodge the obstruction. If they're still choking, what are we going to do? Do it all again. You keep on slapping that guy in the back and punch him in the gut. You're bound to knock the object loose, or eventually you're going to beat your poor victim unconscious. Now, if you have an unconscious individual with a blocked airway, in the past, we would move down to their knees, straddle them at their knees, perform abdominal thrusts. That's changed. The new guideline. Any unconscious victim that has a blocked airway, an adult, a child, even an infant. Unconscious, blocked airway, we now go straight to CPR. But we add one extra step. After the initial 30 compressions, but before you give a single breath, what should you do? Remember, we suspect a blocked airway. What should you do? Look into their mouth. If you see it, reach in, remove it. Remember the old blind figure sweep? Don't do it blindly, but if you see it, carefully remove it. Right. Any questions? Everything makes sense? Have any of you heard about a device you can use on a choking individual? It's kind of like a miniature plunger. Have you heard about it or saw that device? About 4 or 5 years ago, someone asked about that in the class. What about the plunger thing for choking people? What? The plunger thing for choking people? I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. A week or two later, what about the plunger thing for choking? The plunger thing for choking? What? I decided after the third time that maybe I should get my education up. And at YouTube University, I learned about a device called the LifeVac. And surprisingly, it actually does look very much like this $3 Walmart miniature plunger. At least I think it does. Well, you can be the judge of that. Tell me, this LifeVac, it looks exactly the same, except for there. See, I thought this was this. So I'm thinking, no, it doesn't make sense. You're going to push it in further. How is that going to work? Actually, what happens is when you push down, the air goes through the vents, and it's only on the upstroke that you get the suction. Now, that's only half the device. The other half would be the actual face mask. And there's 2 different sizes, so you pick the appropriate one for your victim. We're going to go with the big one for the bigger guy. Put that right on the bottom there. Put it over the nose and mouth. Tilt the head back. Push down. Pull up. And this creates a vacuum that can pull the object out of their airway. These devices have now saved over 3,000 choking victims. The company has a policy. If you contact them and tell them to use the device, they'll replace it for you for free. Again, you can go on YouTube and look at LifeVac. You can actually see real life events where this device has been used. Pretty amazing. Now, they're great devices. They're like $80. You can look up LifeVac. There's more generic ones that are actually less price. I would just one word of caution. Each of the individual masks, they come wrapped in their own individual child-proof plastic. Have you ever had child-proof plastic that's really adult-proof? Yeah, that's what is ripped open. This is terrible. Really, emergency, that'd be terrible. Of course, adrenaline would be flowing. I would, help you out. But I would say if you do purchase these, take the plastic off because you don't need it. All right. Any questions on the LifeVac or any questions on anything that we've covered so far?
Machine, the CPR machine, the battery that's out. Are they a generic battery that if you wanted to be really prepared, you could bring it with you wherever you went?
No, good question. The battery died on that AED. Every AED has proprietary batteries that are sold by the company. So you have to, unfortunately, otherwise it'd be a good idea. I could just always have a spare battery. They're different. Good question. All right.
That available to the general public?
You can purchase these, yes. They're not inexpensive. They're around $1,500. But again, they make a huge difference when it comes to CPR. That's what actually saves lives. CPR more often than not is just buying time. AD is what saves lives, actually. So yeah, it's worth the investment.
Question. People psychologically don't like doing mouth to mouth. Why don't
Yeah.
they have a plunger that pushes air in?
Oh, that is a very good idea. You know what? Why don't you get a patent on that and invent that? Because that's a great idea. In fact, what's happened is it used to be the CPR was always compressions, breathing. But remember, I said earlier, people outside the medical field, we just say, just hands only. because of what's called the yuck factor. People are like, I'm not doing CPR because I'm not putting my mouth on someone I don't know. And that's not to put that down. That's understandable. So that's what we say, compression only CPR. But it makes sense. Now, they do have hospital devices have what's called bag valve devices. So devices actually made. I should have thought about that. There are actually devices for that, but who's going to have one of those? Now, sometimes people can get a device that you mouth to mask device. Sometimes even one that folds up, it goes into like a little bit of a keychain Velcro little pocket. So those are available. But keep in mind, outside in the medical field, if you ever do perform CPR, it's probably going to be someone that you know. Someone that you know. Are you really going to care about mouth to mouth? You won't even think twice about it. But yeah, good point there. All right. Any other questions?
We're getting up in years then.
No,
Yes, we are.
you're only 32. Come on now. All right.
You talk deeper.
Yeah. Yep.
With an older person with a fragile ribs and all that.
Yeah. Well, since you're only 32 and a little bit older, you're about at this point, but if you perform CPR on an older individual, if you don't crack a few ribs, you know what that indicates? You weren't pushing hard enough. So yeah, older individuals are going to get broken ribs more than likely. But in the whole scheme of what we're dealing with, if someone survives in the hospital and they've got a bunch of broken ribs, what's the good news? They're alive. Ribs are bones. Bones will heal. So yeah, broken ribs are fine. You did make me think of something though. Have you heard of something? It's been going around the internet for years. It's called cough CPR. You heard about cough CPR? Okay, cough CPR. It's this great way that, let's say you're driving down the road and you start experiencing the signs of a heart attack. The difficulty breathing, chest pain, maybe you're sweating. Well, what you're supposed to do is cough forcefully and continue to drive, get yourself to the hospital. Okay? Does that make sense? Hogwash. That is the worst advice in the whole wide world. Last thing you should be doing if you're experiencing a heart attack is doing something vigorous like coughing and driving on the road, ready to, go out and take out a family of 5. So that's the worst thing. But every so often that'll pop up on the internet. Cough CPR, and they put it in a way to where it looks so. Cardiologist was saying that the best way to handle, and so you read it like, wow, they wouldn't make that up. That they wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. So I guess you can't really believe everything you read on the internet, can you? All right. Darn Al Gore inventing the internet, and look what happened. All right. Any other questions? Connie, you've used up your allotment of questions. No, it's okay. I'll give you one more. Go ahead. Yeah. Good question. I'm going to hold off on the answer to just in a little bit because it'll fit better a little bit, but that's good. You're thinking ahead, so that's good. I'm glad that you're not sleeping on me, so I'm happy for that. Okay. Put your big guy aside, grab your baby. There's a baby underneath the seat next to you. And go ahead and open the plastic over the nose and mouth on the baby like we did earlier with the big guy. Now, keep in mind, you know what? You're missing, yeah. April, could you grab one, give it to Tom? And then there's one more. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. All right. There you go. And yeah, open the plastic over the nose and mouth like we did the big guy earlier. Keep in mind, if you ever perform CPR on a real baby, whose baby are we talking about? Well, if you're not sure whose baby this one is, I'll tell you what, real quick, take a look up here front and center. Do you recognize any obvious resemblance? Who's your daddy? It's me. Well, if it's not your own baby, it'll probably be a niece or a nephew or a friend's baby or a neighbor's baby, or years from now, could be your own grandbaby. Well, not for at least another 20 years for young Connie. Of course, she's only 32. Oh, no, wait just a minute here now. April, we were talking about this earlier, right? You were saying it was Connie. You said that Connie grew up in West Virginia, right? By the way, Connie can't even tell. Perfect with the teeth. I'm telling you, you can't tell. And you said that before she moved to California, she married her cousin, but second cousin, so it's all good. So you probably are a 32-year-old grandma after all. All right, here we go. On the scene. First, make sure everything around you is Safe. If it's not safe, grab your baby and get to a safe place. Once you're safe, check response. Remember the adult and child, we do the tap and shout, hey, Manny, you okay? Come on, wake up. And the kid, hey, kid, wake up. Babies, we use tactile stimulation. And that's just a really sweet way to say, hurt the baby. Grab his little foot, flick it, pinch it. You know, in CPR nowadays, you have to be cruel to be kind. Now, when you're hurting a little baby, what should happen immediately? If baby's not kicking and screaming from that pain, what kind of situation is this? Is the baby dead? Is he dead? Don't know. We don't know because we haven't checked. That's right. How do you know someone's dead without checking their pulse unless one of you are like that one kid? Remember that kid from over 20 years ago in the movies? I see dead people. But you don't have a sixth sense like the kid, but you know the baby isn't responsive, which is an emergency. So somebody better go call. But there's no one else to call 911. There's only me and my baby. What do I do? Take the baby and make the call. The quicker we get the call made there, the quicker they're going to get here. In the meantime, how can they help me with my baby over the phone? What can they do for me? That's right. They can calm me and coach me. Could I use the extra help? Yeah, it's my grandbaby. I'm scared to death. But what if there's nobody around to send? Maybe there's no phone to send them to. And maybe I don't have my cell phone with me, so Siri can't even help me. I'm on my own. But thank goodness, everyone in this room knows that special CPR formula. And if you ever do get lost in CPR, you know the Jackson 5 will always be there for you. It's okay if you blank out completely. If you're going CPR, the song, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, E, E. Someone's going, what are you doing? It's no problem. You tell them, hey, this modern CPR, I know exactly what I'm doing here because the bald CPR guy taught me. Now, I need you to go call 911 and then get me jumper cables and a can of gas. Hurry. Now, performing CPR on a baby, the best place to do this is on a raised, hard, flat surface. So obviously, the adult I would not have up on a table, but a baby, yeah, on a table or a countertop. You could, if it's a baby that's small enough, you could perform CPR with the baby in your arms. To do that, you want to support baby's head and neck, take his little toes, tuck them right under your arm, and then pull baby's head close to your chest. We call this support, tuck, pull. Recently in my class, a woman mentioned to me, she said that is also the name of the newest product over there at Victoria's Secret, the support, tuck, pull. Now, I didn't know that, so I went home. I asked my wife if that was true. She said she couldn't tell me. You know why? It's a secret. Yeah. All right. So here we go. Supporting baby's head. Now, baby's head, you don't want to tilt it too far back because if you go too far, it's like bending a garden hose. You could collapse it. With a baby, go with a flat, neutral position. And then put your big mouth over baby's little mouth and little nose. Big mouth, but little cheeky puff. And that is a new medical term, cheeky puff. Okay, Forrest, I know you're going to Google that also. So remember, cheeky puff, not cheesy puff, not cocoa puff, not cream puff, but especially not chupacabra. Stay away from that. Forrest, it's what kind of a puff? Cheeky puff, that's right. Now, besides not having any teeth most of the time, and if you haven't done already, go ahead and open that plastic over the nose and the chin. Besides not having any teeth, babies also are usually pretty much born without what else? A neck, right? Babies don't usually have much of a neck. I asked that question once in class. This one woman was so very rude to me. I said babies are born without what? The mean lady, you know what she did? She pointed right at me. She said, hair. Genetics, ma'am. I can't help I've gone bald. Special ed for that comment. And you know what? God only made so many perfect heads, and on the rest, he put hair. So there. But one time, one class, one guy. I said, babies are born without what? This one guy. At my last CPR course, our instructor said that when our babies are born, he said they don't have those arteries in their necks like we do. If your baby happens to be born without carotid arteries, well, that would mean that your baby is actually born brain dead, just like it's. I did not say father out loud. Obviously, he was a little bit confused, but I explained it to him nicely. I said, look, babies do have carotid arteries. They're born with them, but you make a good point. When there's not much of a neck, it's very difficult to find a baby's carotid pulse. Instead, where do we check a baby's pulse? The brachial artery inside of the upper arm. Easiest way to find the brachial artery. Take two fingers to the baby's hand that's closest to you, fingers to fingers. Slide your fingers all the way up to the armpit. Now, if you do this correctly, you should have no problem at all supporting that baby with your two fingers just like that. If you do that, babies, just like that, just like that, just like that, just like that. Don't hold your babies like that. If I told you to go jump off that bridge, would you do it? If I told you to take the baby outside right now and hold sweet baby, would you do it? Okay, I know, still too soon for the MJ jokes. I know. All right, here we are. We're checking baby's brachial pulse. 5 to 10 seconds on the pulse check, and there is no pulse. So, of course, no pulse is telling us what's not working. Heart, let's work on that. How many compressions for the baby? 30. Same as everybody. How many ventilations or cheeky puffs for the baby? 2. How many hands are we going to use for the baby compressions? 2 fingers, that's right. So we've always done this with the baby using 2 fingers. We want to get 1.5 inches of compression depth. So just for practice, using 2 fingers, go ahead and push on baby's chest. Try and get 1.5 inches. Man, that's a lot of work. Now try this. Put your baby up on, that makes it a little bit easier. Yeah. Table service would be great. You could do it on your lap, but better on hard surface. Put your fingers on both sides to the baby's back. Put both thumbs on baby's chest. So in back, your fingers look like this. In front, your thumbs look like this. Using both hands, squeeze the baby's chest. Which one of the techniques can you get more compression with? This one. That's why it's the new technique for infant CPR. It's called the 2-thumb hand encircling technique. I like to just call it the 2 thumbs up technique. So for the rest of the program with infant CPR, we're going to use what technique? 2 thumbs up. All right, so here we go. 2 thumbs, fingers on the baby's back, 30 compressions. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 27, 28, 29, 30. How many cheeky puffs? 2. All right, here we go. Just tilt baby's head back just a little bit. Puff, puff. The puffs did not work. No problem. We know the rule. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Remind me, what is the most common airway obstruction for all unconscious, even the babies? It's usually just their own tongue. Then we're first time. Tilt baby's head back just a little bit further. Take a look in the baby's mouth. If you see something doesn't belong, of course, remove it. And what you don't see happen, you might feel happen. Place your lower hand lightly on the baby's chest. Just rest it there. Now try. Big mouth, cheeky puffs. Puff, puff. Did you feel the chest go up? If you did, then that means we got air in the lungs. Now, if the chest didn't go up on the second attempt, even after retilt, and you didn't see anything in there, then we're going to assume must be a blocked airway. In the past, pardon me, in the past, unconscious baby blocked airway. If it's unconscious, we pick them up, turn them over, hit them on the back, turn them over, push on the chest. But let's rewind a little bit earlier in the program. Remember when we had the unconscious adult with a blocked airway? What do? Unconscious adult blocked airway? We skipped right into CPR. Remember, any unconscious victim that has a blocked airway, an adult, a child, an infant, unconscious blocked airway, straight to CPR. But before we give the first breath, what do we need to do first? Look in the mouth. If you see something doesn't belong, take it out. Now, let's say you have a baby that has a blocked airway. That's bad news, but there is some good news. That baby is conscious. It's laying in the crib, face up. The eyes are wide open, but it's stiff and struggling. It's not making any noise because it can't. Airway's blocked. And without oxygen, it's starting to turn what color? blue or purple, that is a conscious choking baby. Do you want to save that conscious choking baby? Do you want to save it? Do you really truly mean it? Then prove it. Stand up on your feet and grab that baby out of the crib. Everybody on your feet, on your feet. Grab that baby. And there you go. So whatever arm the baby is resting on, you step out your opposite leg. So if it's on your right arm, you put your left foot out and you shake it. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to keep my redneck covered in class. Rob warned me about that. I forgot, Rob. I forgot. All right. So take a baby sandwich, turn it over, lay it against your leg. You want the baby's head pointed down. Remind me, please, what does gravity do? 2 words. Thank you, potty mouth. Gravity sucks. Gravity is going to help you here. Heel of your hand, going to go right across the baby. It's very important. And rest against your leg. And remember, you'd only do this on a baby that's small enough. If it's too big of a baby and you think you might drop it, don't do this. Just tip on the table there. Here we go. Up to 5 back pose. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up to 5. If 1, 2, and the object popped out, don't go 3, 4, 5. No. Now, if the object popped loose, where would it likely land? In your hand. How would your conscious baby let you know it can breathe now? Yeah, because what you've been on nowadays, you have to be cruel to be kind. Now, the back pose were not successful. Step 2, lift your baby sandwich, switch your legs, turn baby to that leg. Again, baby's head pointed down. Baby shirt, you can move up because we're not going to push on baby's belly. We're going to move up and push on baby's chest. Here is why. There's a concern if you push too hard on baby's chest, you're on the hard, bony sternum. Actually, there are 3 different groups of conscious choking victims. We push on their chest and not on their belly. Babies are one of the 3 groups. Can you think of who are the other 2 groups? They're conscious, they're choking, push on their chest, don't push on their belly. What was that? A pro. Have you not been paying attention to proper pronouns? Birthing persons. Okay, there's only one type of birthing person. That's a woman. You win. All right. And who is the 3rd group? And give me a nice word. Give me a nice term.
A spherical.
Spherical. I've never heard that, but I like that. They're spherical. I like that. Or they're large or obese. But you know the nicest term I've ever heard? Fluffy. Like Santa's fluffy. All right. So if you're an individual who's too large, you asked the question earlier. You can't get your arms around their belly. That's okay. Go up to a chest. Oh man, you're right on that. Move up to a chest thrust. And a conscious choking baby, move up to the chest thrust. Here we go. Up to 5 of them. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Baby is still conscious, is still choking. How many times are we going to keep on doing this baby sandwich on the conscious choking baby? How many times? As many as we have to until an important P word occurs, like pop out, puke out, pass out. Who's on the way out? Also P word. Call them paramedics. Now, some other P words might come out, and you can ignore the P words like pee-pee and poo-poo, but do not ignore po-po. Now, if suddenly a baby went unconscious and still has a blocked airway, what are we going to do now? Unconscious blocked airway. What do we do? CPR. Back to your seats. Time for CPR. Remember, any unconscious victim blocked airway, CPR. All right. And what technique on babies do we use? 2 thumbs up. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 27, 28, 29, 30. Before we give a cheeky puff, what do we do first? Look into the baby. Look, there is a Lego in there. Get it out. And now let's try the cheeky puffs. Hand on chest. Here we go. Cheeky puff, puff, puff. Did the cheek puffs work this time? How do you know? Because it's time to wrap up the course. Oh, because you felt the chest. That's more important. All right. We had a little roadblock. We cleared it. Okay. We got air in the lungs. Good. Let's go ahead and check baby's pulse. Let's see where things stand with the baby's pulse. And no, there is no pulse. Well, at least we cleared the airway. That's good. So, all right, back to CPR. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 27, 28, 29, 30. And do we need to check baby's mouth again? No, we cleared the airway. We got air in the lungs, so we can go straight to the cheeky puffs. Puff, puff. And then back to compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to continue with 30 and 2 for how many minutes before we recheck the baby's pulse? 2. How many cycles will it take to make 2 minutes? But in our state of mind, with this little baby, do you think we might lose track of our cycles? Sure. But remember the beauty of CPR. Close is good enough. When you feel it's been around 2 minutes, about 5 cycles, go ahead, check the pulse. Would you say it's never been about 5 cycles? You know what? I think we should probably check that one. We should check with the one in April. Has it been 5 cycles? Yes, good. Then we're checking the pulse. Tell me, Miss Honesty, are we finding a pulse this time with the baby? Eureka, we got a pulse. It ain't broke. Don't fix it. Heart's working fine. All right. But we need to still check baby's breathing. At this point, we don't need to do compressions. We have a pulse. So you could go ahead and shift the baby back up this way and stay on that pulse. Now we're checking baby's breathing. And no, baby's not breathing. You know what? This whole Dominican family here has some kind of a genetic disorder. Do you realize every time we've got their hearts working, what wasn't working? Every time their lungs, the adult got his heart working, he wasn't breathing. We gave the adult one full rescue breath every how many seconds? 5 seconds. Like father, like son. Kid had a pulse, wasn't breathing, sped it up, gave the kid half a rescue breath every 3 seconds. Baby has the same problem, pulse, not breathing. We're going to stick with every 3 seconds, but if the baby is not a full breath, a cheeky puff, you'll be here going, we'll continue to monitor, waiting for the emergency services. What do we monitor? That's right, breathing in circulation on babies. Where are we monitoring circulation? The brachial pulse inside the upper arm. And why we're doing the M and M, what else are we doing? Why aren't they here? Duo. And, and then it becomes a wailing trio when you hear what coming up the street. Sirens of the ambulance. And then take my baby. But before you turn your precious baby over to professionals, show them respect. Take that little baby of yours, turn it over, and see if there's anything they should know about. Go ahead, check that little guy's diaper. See if there's anything. Check it. There's a diaper dookie in there. A teeny tootsie turdy. It's in there. Get it out. Get it out. And talk about junk in the trunk. But you know, I am thinking if you were that considerate to warn the paramedics about your baby's diaper, I bet they'll be nice to you too. I bet they'll give you a moment to run back into your own place so you can change your own pants. Because if that were your baby, ain't gonna be dry or cleaned. Now tell me, does CPR work every time? Why not? Because why? Well, because they're dead. That's the worst thing about CPR. We only do it on dead people. But take heart, for the very last, I have saved the very best. Every year in the good old US of A, CPR does save over 150,000 dead people. And it is because someone just like you jumps and starts CPR and buys them precious time. Do we perform perfect CPR like professionals? No, but whatever we can do for them right here, right now, it's got to be better than nothing. Reality check. If you ever do perform real CPR, it will likely be one of the scariest events in your entire life. And you might forget some things we just talked about. And that is okay. Remember, CPR isn't so much from here. Real CPR, where's it coming from? Trust your instincts, put your heart and soul into it. Make sure right from the start there's someone on the phone calling 911. And if one is available, getting the defibrillator. And if you do not have a defibrillator, getting the gas and jumper cables. We talked about that. In the meantime, while you're waiting for the paramedics to arrive, if your victim needs CPR, what are those universal numbers now for all CPR victims? 32. If you forget the important numbers, 32, just make up your own favorite numbers like someone does about her age. Just don't give up on your victim, because in the book of Ed, the only bad CPR for that dead person would be no CPR. Any final question? All right. I want you all to take, and when I snap my fingers, you're going to wake up and you're going to be able to perform CPR anytime you need it. Any final questions we have about CPR?
Your cheeks, right?
I'm sorry.
When you're talking about the cheeky puff,
Yes.
are you looking for their cheeks to puff?
Oh, that's a good point. No, it's our cheeky puff.
Oh.
So we still want to get air in, but just enough to see their chests go up. So it's just a cheeky puff on our part. Yes. But over their nose and mouth. Good point. Good point. Yeah. So their cheeks will puff up a little bit, but really it's the chest that we want to see go up. Good. Any other questions? All right. I have a final question, and then you're all done. Nobody has to stay for special ed. You guys did really, really well. So tell me right now, if someone hits the floor in full arrest, could you get in there with your heart and soul, with all your passion? Could you at least try to give them that second chance for life with the magic of CPI? Give yourselves a big round of applause. I'm so proud of you. Each and every one of you have now graduated with honors. And back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right. Thank you, Ed, so much for that. And then I'm sure Rob will be posting this on YouTube. And so we can hope that there'll be plenty of people out there watch it later on. And maybe you'll save a life. Yeah. Make it worth the effort. If we save one person's life, it'll definitely be more than worthwhile. So just reminding you, next month by the 14th and another one on the 28th. And so still 2 more divisions to go. Compliment those QSs who have been doing so well. What did we figure? It was 6 or 8 winners at least at the area level. And the bad news for Connie and I is we're going to be competing for each other for a division contest. Another QS, Bond Wang, and last year's district winner, Rich Politsky, and one more person. I don't have them all committed to memory, but oh yeah, okay. Melinda Maganto, another QS, will be competing. So yeah, so we'll be, our QSs are doing well, and it's not even, I always brag about our qualified speakers being the best evaluators in the district. And so they're proving to be able to get some winners out of the speech contest too. And if you're in a club and that hasn't had their contest yet, or they're not represented, make sure your club is represented. It's always, to me, I usually only compete if the club isn't being represented. And so if you're in a club, try to make sure your club's represented. Next month's meeting is April the 1st. And it's not a joke. It really is April the 1st. We have at least one qualified speaker signing up. If you are a QS working with a QS candidate, make sure you get that person's name to me. I have a list of QSs in the past, and if someone needs that in the back, and someone needs that list, I will have it available. And contact me if you plan on presenting next month with a qualified candidate. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Rob, for coming and doing all the work that's being done. Thank you, Sharon Kenty, for putting out the publicity. Thank you, VA Hospital, for providing us a location. And thank you, District 12. And I have a special guest. Do you mind coming up and just saying hi to you? We have someone here visiting who is a qualified speaker from District 100. And I'll let you make a quick introduction of yourself. I don't always get to do that, but I'm so glad you came to visit us.
Thank you, Tom. Hello, qualified speakers of District 12. To those joining us online, my name is Forrest Barrett, and I am a QS in District 100. I am part of the Anaheim Club 2, where you all might know David Flores and Suzanne Ailey. There are QSs in here that are part of that club as well. And I was encouraged just to spread my wings, come to the Inland Empire, and see what everything is about. I really enjoyed it today. And for those who know me, I'm a systems kind of guy. So I always tell people, if you can build a personalized system for yourself, you can really take yourself to new heights that fits in educating students, working in music, or even in photography. I use systems all around to elevate those things. I love helping people do the same. Anyways, thank you for letting me come up here and introduce myself. I'll turn it back over to our Toastmaster.
All right. And one thing I am sure that you probably wanted to invite, as Dr. Michael Alexander, the chair of District 100 Speakers Bureau, I'm sure is always glad to have speakers coming from other districts who are qualified speakers. And so we may chat later on about having you come and give your presentation if we have me. I don't want to deprive anybody of becoming qualified, but it would be nice to have a guest speaker from another district. So let's talk about that later. And with that, I think we can let everybody get out for recess early. I make myself the popular teacher in school by letting you out early, and we will let you guys out. And thanks again, Ed, for this wonderful presentation and all that gusto. And I'm sure there are some people in the audience that will want to life instead of saving somebody's life without permission. Thank you all for being here. Good night, all. We'll see you.